Alrighty, hello. Now, I don't expect this video to get that many views, honestly. I'm just gonna be straightforward with you. But I am here to talk about some of my adventures through Full Sail. And as you can see here, it's gonna be some of my artwork that I worked on. Now, Full Sail has a lot of different areas you can go into, and this is their website here, so you can see games, art design, media communication, business, sports, film. I know a lot of people went in for music and film. I think that's one of the bigger attractions that Full Sail might have, I believe, is the film and music, but I went in for the art and design and the games. Both? I guess the art and design of games is what I went into. So I have my game arts bachelor's and my game design master's. So I have these two right here. And so I'm gonna go through some of the experiences I went to. And I'm gonna start off with my game art bachelor's here. Now, this program is a lot of 3D content. Oh, so you can see back here. Yeah, create 3D content. And I think number one is the teachers. Amazing. Just if you've ever gone to a school, whether it be high school, middle school, or even college, if you're currently in college, because I was in college. I went to another school before I went to Full Sail. And you're sitting at a class and it's kind of boring. You don't really know what the teacher's saying, or if you ask a question, they kind of just restate what they already said, and you're like, no, wait. But I need you to explain it further. That it's a little frustrating. But one thing about the classes I took in Full Sail is that I felt like the teachers absolutely knew how to say what they wanted to say in various ways, and I mean no offense to it, and I think it's actually a pretty good thing to be able to do. And one thing that I learned while in my engineering class is that sometimes you have to dumb it down, which is not a bad thing, because I learned this more in my engineering class than I did in Full Sail, because I did presentations in Full Sail too, so I guess they both kind of went into it. Is your audience is not necessarily in your profession to say. So sometimes you have to use different words that are more relatable to the general audience. And I feel like teachers in Full Sail have a good way of doing that, or explaining to you what the word of the industry is and what it means. So that's one thing that I definitely liked. And I did I want to see if it's here. Sometimes they show you the schedule. I'm kind of just glancing through it. I don't really know where it might be. But I did the campus right here. I did the campus one. So I took 2 classes, and I'm showing it. I assume I'm able to show the website since it's publicly available to everyone, but I'm showing it just so I can kind of go along what I did. But you take 2 classes a month, and I would say expect full time, 8 hours a day, every day, Monday through Friday, maybe Saturday, usually never Sunday. I don't think I ever had a class on Sunday, but it might just be me. There might be classes on Sunday, who knows? But there's definitely Saturdays. I know I did go to some classes on Saturdays. And besides that, it was majorly Monday through Friday. I got Sunday off because I don't think I ever went Sunday. And then maybe one more day, like a Wednesday or like a Friday or something, I would have off. But generally, if you're going to go to Full Sail, it is not like a typical college in the sense that when I was going to, before I went to Full Sail, I was going to a different college, and I was going there for like maybe 3 days and 4 hour classes. So 3 day, 4 hour classes versus, probably 5 day, 8 hour classes. It's going to be a lot of work because you don't have 4 months to complete your whole semester of the class. You have 1 month to complete 2 classes of a semester's worth. So keep that in mind if you do plan on going to Full Sail. It is very compact. You're going to be there all the time. And I know you get spring break. I think you get either a week or 2 on summer. Then you get a couple days. I think you get like 3 or 4 days of Thanksgiving. And then another week or 2 for Christmas and New Year's. I think it's 1 week summer, 2 weeks for Christmas and New Year's. So like Christmas and New Year's is just 2 weeks back to back. So if you're planning to go to Full Sail, at least, like I said, this is the game art and game design. So I know other programs might have other, schedules, but this is what I went to. So if you're looking into going into game art, game design, something related to like the game bachelor's or master's, this is probably, kind of what you're going to go through. So this whole thing is 20 months and you have your whole credit hours and everything, and you can go in here like motion capture. You can click the class and it'll just give you like a little summary. But basically you should have like this. So you'll get like 2, 2, 2, and then you'll have like one class, and 2, 2, 1, 2, 3. I think I don't remember ever having 3. I think one of these might be, I think this one might be like a little smaller side end class, like it's literally not that heavy. I think that's why it's 3. And then you have 1, and then 2, 2. So they'll give you, they'll like work you really hard, and they'll let you kind of like relax, and then they'll go again, and then you relax, and you'll go again. And so keep that in mind. But basically for your first, if you want to, this might be going too in depth, I don't know, but I know for your first 8 months, at least for this program, you're going to be with a lot of other people. I know I was with a lot of people who were in computer animation and not game art, because computer animation learns basically the exact same fundamentals of art as we do. You have to learn the fundamentals of 3D and of just regular art before you can start going into your profession. So the first 8 months, everyone's basically learning art. Then after that, computer animation splits off and they do their own thing, and then game art splits off and they do their own thing. And computer animation has its own pipeline to go through, and you learn similar things, but you're learning the industry standard. This is not a 3D class. This is not, oh, I want to learn 3D or 3D animation. Let me go to Full Sail to learn that. And then they're going to be like, okay, what do you want to do with your 3D? Oh, I want to make games. And then they're going to be like, okay, game art. Or, oh, I want to make movies. Okay, computer animation. So there's different areas they'll put you in, because they're going to, if you go to computer animation, they're going to teach you the industry standards for movies, shows, and stuff like that for animation. And it's going to be different than what you're taught for the industry standard. Now, that's the key word, industry standard for game art. Because yes, you can take a computer animation 3D model and shove it into Unreal Engine and use it as an asset, but it probably has, 3 million polys for everything. It probably has hair strands instead of hair cards, like it probably has a lot of things that aren't standard in the gaming world, because our hardware just has to be instant. Games have to not lag and stutter, and they have to show you beautiful visuals in the moment, not like computer animation where they can send a 1 minute clip off to a render farm and render it out over a course of 3 hours to get all the reflections and everything right. So there's different things you're going to learn. So it just keep that in mind when you're going into it. If you like to do art and you want to do art and game art, and you want to do game art, specifically 3D, obviously, then, obviously you're going to go into the game art. But if you're thinking like, oh, I like games and I want to learn animation, but I want to work for like Nickelodeon, then you'll go to computer animation. You'll do something else. So, I'm going on a rant. I'm sorry. I'm just very passionate at times. Another thing to know about Full Sail is I brought up the map just because I think being able to see it, because you can go here. I brought it up for Google. You can go to Google and you can see these stunning visuals, but obviously these are taken on purpose, right? They want to attract your eye and everything. But when you go there, the outside is just like a little city. It's not ginormous. And if I can move this around here, let me go back just so I can show you. This is Full Sail right here. This whole thing right here, from here to here, is all Full Sail right there. Now, keep that in mind. That red dot is Full Sail. And I think over here, this entire section, maybe even more, is UCF. So, that's a lot larger than Full Sail. So Full Sail is very small. You're going to meet a lot of people, and the classrooms are very small. My starting classrooms were... Oh, hold on, let me bring this little man back over here. My starting classrooms were maybe like 200 or 300, I think. Maybe 1 to 200, I think, people in the class for like the first couple months. And then once everyone splits into their own location, their own thing, I had like 20 people in my class. Not even lying. Like, that's not even an exaggeration. I had like maybe 20 to 40 people in my class. Let's go 40. 40 people in my class. By graduation time, there was 11 of us. Literally, I'm not even lying. There was 11 of us by graduation. And this wasn't, I don't want to like be like, oh, COVID hit. No, this was 2018, before COVID hit, like 2020. So yeah, like 2018, 2019. I went in there, I think 2017. So this was before all of that. There was only about 40 people in my class. And then when we graduated, there was literally 11. But the online students came to graduation, so the total was like maybe 20 to 25. But that's a lot of people that dropped out. And I think it's really because of this. Because you're expected as a Full Sail student to go to class 8 hours a day, 5 days a week or whatever, like full time. You're a full-time student. And you're doing this every single month. And then you get like a little leeway, a little break. And then again, every single month, you're like stacked. And I think that burns out a lot of people. And a lot of people end up either lagging behind, or the stress or the workload is too much and they end up dropping off. If you fail too many classes, you go on probation. And if you fail your probation class, then you get dropped out. They basically tell you can't be there anymore. And you have to take a little break. You can come back, but they basically like you have to take a little break, kind of reset, and then come back. I know that because I had some people, some of my friends drop out like that as well. But it can be a tough school. But this is it, and I'll drive around here. This is where I came in from, and there's a lot of restaurants around Full Sail. So if you want to go eat. I went to Chick-fil-A a lot with my friends. It's like right here. There's a McDonald's like over there, like right next to it. And when you drive around here, you're gonna come to the front here. So these are like the office areas. There's a couple classes here. Maybe not in this. I think this building is all offices, but there's a couple classes over here. And this is like the main entrance. So if you want to go to the front office, it's right here. This is like the front entrance. And then I actually had when I was in my master's class, I had part of my internship in this building. They partner with other companies for that, which is pretty cool. But that was for masters. And then this is where the main building that I went to was. And I'll zoom in here. So we just drove down this street, and this is the building we saw. But Full Sail Live over here, this is the main entrance, and this is the fishbowl, or at least we call it the fishbowl. Over here, actually, I think this is the fishbowl, or they call this the fishbowl, and then this is the stadium where your graduation happens, or where WWE happens. Let me see if there's a picture around here. I think I saw one earlier. But we also host WWE events and whatnot. So and I think this is all run by students too. So I don't know if you're like in the films or like FX class or whatever, you'll be running some of this as well, I believe. But obviously you can get more information by calling the schools. This is a lot of office areas, so I don't think there's any classes here. But these are the main classes, yeah. So the library is over there. In this little area, you see a bunch of books. And all this is class. All of this is class. There's just a bunch of classes here. And if you go all the way back here, so this is on the other side. So we just like jumped over a bunch of buildings. All of these are classes. These are classes. I know this is definitely a class that I went to a lot. I think this is 4B because the buildings are numbered. I think this is 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, it says right there, building 3 and building 4. So this is 4B, and this is 3D art. See, look, you see them right there. So this is where I went to school, This is where I went to class, and we have our 2D arts, our animation, 3D animation, 3D sculpting and whatnot. Like everything was here. Everything was here, and it was amazing. So yeah, and then I know we went here a lot. You'll see, I recommend this place right here, Firehouse Subs. We literally just walk here, eat a sub for our lunch period, and then walk back. Lunch is like, I think 30 minutes, and then you go back. But yeah, this is me just kind of taking you around the campus. This is what it looks like. So it's not ginormous. Let's see if we can go inside. Oh, is this the back? Okay, so this is nighttime. This is the back one of the buildings. I know they have it. Yeah. So they have sets here, and this is a lot for film. This is not a real gas station. This is a set. So this is for film. Sometimes you can walk here. Like this is not closed off. If you're a student, I'm pretty sure as a student, you could just walk here. We loved walking back here and looking at all these sets. Nothing's closed. Feel free to like walk around and explore. More sets here. And sometimes when we're walking, we'll obviously have to go in and around because they'll have like the giant, and I mean like giant film cameras out, or like cranes and whatnot. And obviously for respect, we'll walk around. But it's cool. It's cool. More sets here. And I know, like I said earlier, like I think Full Sail is a lot of film and music, but don't shun away from the art. Oh, here, let me sorry, I honestly don't know who that is, but it's kind of funny that he's kind of just looking at the camera. Oh, maybe they're taking these on, because I think that's the same person we saw earlier. I don't know, but maybe they're taking these pictures. I can't show you what I wanted to show you though, because I think it's covered by, there's a giant billboard here. And if I go to this one, not that one. If I go here, no, I click this one. Yeah, there we go. It is going to be this one, but I want to show you the front. So in this giant billboard, like we'll sit out here and we'll eat sometimes. We'll bring our subs over here and we'll eat. This giant billboard, they'll show like different projects that are currently going on. Some of them are cool. Some of them are funny. Some of them are strange, but you'll see like very different things happen. You'll kind of get to know what all the different schools, different classes are doing. Different I was gonna say majors, but I guess like art, 3D art, computer, not computer, game dev. There's game dev, game programming, stuff like that, or computer science. I think they go more into the tech of computers and whatnot. But yeah, I know. What is this one? Sorry, I just want to see what. Oh, here, look. This is students, and they're just doing their own little project. This is good advertisement. Being able to see all this. That's kind of cool. But that's kind of what we went to. I know I'm talking a lot about what I did. Not really. I'm talking about how kind of it is. The campus is not ginormous, like some colleges. So you might be coming from this huge university and then go to Full Sail and might be disappointed, but honestly, don't be. Go inside. It is amazing inside. They have they have technology everywhere. I think Full Sail deserves to have the pride that it does on keeping on top of industry standards, because they're always making sure students can render things out. They can learn on like these giant Wacom tablets. Here, I'm gonna show you the tablet that I drew on, if I can Google it. Ignore my background, it's just Killjoy from Valorant, but I should have pulled this up earlier. Let me see if I can spell Wacom right. Wacom. I'm probably spelling it wrong. No, I spelled it right. Did I? Probably not. Oh, it's with an A. Wacom. And the tablet I used was the giant monitor one. I don't know if it's here. Maybe it's because I typed in tablet. Tablets with screen. It wasn't this. It was huge. Huge. It wasn't this either. This one. This is the one we worked on. This giant monitor. I don't even know if this is a Wacom tablet. It might be. Who knows? But this giant monitor of a tablet we used. It's exactly this one. It's this one. Because I remember using this little lever thing to like angle my tablet around. But this is what we use. The Cintiq. This is what we have. We have rows and rows of this in the school for everyone to use. So it's pretty cool. They don't have the little gadget here. You just kind of have to use your keyboard. But they have the pens, and you can use it. They give you your own tablet. They gave me a tablet when I went there. What tablet did they give me? I don't even remember. If I see it, actually, because this is it was this one. Pretty sure it was big though. Yeah, it was this one, but it was that's about the size. So it was pretty big. It was this one. This is the tablet they gave us, and they gave us the MacBook Pro to use alongside with the tablet. Though, don't be mad at me, but I used Windows on the Mac specifically because we used Maya. For those of you who don't know what Maya is, I mean, obviously, a lot of people might know what Maya is. Autodesk Maya. This is the program we used. So we use this program. Obviously, I'm pretty sure the school has an educational version of it and everything. But this is the program we use to do a lot of our 3D stuff. And I was having issues with the commands on the Mac because my mouse would literally spasm when I would like putting like Control Shift right click or something. It would just do this, and then it'll apply a random modifier or whatnot, and I'd be like, what just happened? So I switched it to the Windows on my MacBook. Obviously, if you don't have that problem anymore, like if they fixed it, then don't do that. Just use Apple, because it's not bad of a software. But I just switched to Windows because, you know, that is what worked for me. And I mean, if it works, it works, right? But yeah, so they'll give you this and you keep it. It's not school property, so you don't have to give it back. You keep it forever. Obviously, you do pay for it. It's called the launch box, like launching a rocket launch box. And they give you a bunch of stuff in there, and you keep it and you obviously pay for it. Like, it comes with your tuition, but I believe it's at a huge discount because they buy these items in bulk. Like, when you go pick it up, you'll see you might not see. Yeah, they'll probably have it hidden somewhere. But when you go pick it up, they'll like lift the gate up and they'll give you a brand new box, you know, with the little foil around that you have to like cut off and rip the box open and everything. You get the whole unboxing experience. It's not reused or fixed. It's brand new. It's amazing. So they give you what you need to succeed, basically. You don't have to. It's an optional. You don't have to buy it. But I recommend because I'm pretty sure you're not paying full price for it. And even if you are, you probably need it to do your work. Like, I think I don't know if you have to show proof if you don't buy it that you have a laptop. But I know one of my friends had a MacBook, but it was a couple years older. And I think back then it just didn't have the processing power that it did, you know, of the year that we got it. So they were struggling because their programs kept crashing or overheating, and so if it's provided and you're already paying so much to go here, might as well spend just a tiny fraction bit more to get exactly what you need to succeed. That is my recommendation. Obviously, you will have your own opinions and you don't have to get it, but if you can, you know, it's pretty good. So now I'm gonna go into some of the things I did, and they're probably not all in here. Maybe not. They might not be in here. They might be in my, if I go to my, because I might have hid them. How do I get, I guess, edit profile maybe? I have not touched ArtStation in a hot minute. Well, I say a hot minute, but I have touched. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Okay, so the first one I did, I'm just gonna be in my all, so everything's here. Is actually, I'm gonna see if I can pull this out. I might have to take a screenshot and send it to myself here. One sec. But I still have it. Okay, it's here. Yeah, let me take a screenshot just to kind of like, I really want to see the boxy one. One sec. I don't know if I have that shit. Oh, did I not save that one? That was one of my better ones. Okay, let me take a screenshot of this one. And this. This is just like a quick what I did. Because I don't have it on my computer. But you obviously, when you start off, you're going to start off in... Well, I don't know if they might say here. They might have removed it, honestly. They might have. Fundamentals of Art 1. It might be this one. Fundamentals of Art 1 might be the 2D, because they have some 2D classes that you start off with. And then 3D Fundamentals is another class. Let me just send this to myself real quick. Okay, let's see if I can open it. One moment. Okay, so how do we do this? I'm just gonna spam. What do I suppose? This is a very weird way of showing this. Just spam a couple of O's here. And I'm actually gonna keep part of this off screen. Okay, well, that's the best. That's the best I'm gonna get. But this is basically a character we designed, some fruit. You know, working with shadows, light, bunch of hues, and then this is the same character but in a clay form. So it's fun. It's cool stuff. We did live anatomy sculpting. Well, not anatomy sculpting. Live drawing. Like there was a live person in front. You know how they do like the nude models, and they'll pose, and you have to draw them, and they'll give you like a minute to draw them, and then you'll flip the page and then try again. And the teacher will go around and they'll be like, okay, look, you can do it this way, change your proportions, try this, you know. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. They have a lot of cool things you can do. And then when you go into like your first 3D, oh man, can I open this? Oh, I wanted to see it. But when you go to your first 3D animation ones, it's gonna be like this. This one's a little bouncy ball, and then this one's just, I think him opening the door. I don't remember. Basic walk, final. Yeah, so this is something that you start with, and then this is one of my portfolio classes. I think this one I can actually just show you on my portfolio. So your profile, all here, dual blade. So for this one, we'll grab a reference that is provided to you by the teacher. So I think the teacher gave me this reference, and you'll see like the entire thing, the whole blade and whatnot. And then you'll model it out, every detail that you can, and render it out. And this blade is in, what is this, Sketchfab. So when I put it on my ArtStation, people can actually open it and look at it. Now it looks very, like, looking at it now, I would never put this much damage on this blade, and I might actually go in and hand paint a lot of the damage stuff. But this was like my second portfolio class or something, or like, look, it's not even connected. It's just floating there. I don't know if it's supposed to be doing that. Maybe it is supposed to be doing that, and this bends inward. I don't know. But yeah. So, oops, I was trying to scroll here. So this is one. I don't really care that my email's up here. My profile is public. Anyone can email me. But this is one of the things that I did. And then we did do a sculpt. I remember doing this. I forget who this was because obviously I'm not I'm not that good at it. You basically pick someone you want to sculpt, and I purposely picked someone that was bald because I did not want to do hair. This on here twice. That's crazy. I did. If it has final, this is because this is my final draft of something I turned in. Because this is something you turn in your ArtStation project. So this is one that I did early on as well. You'll see like so much damage. I would not do this. Even these stamps are, what is, I went heavy on the damage. Oh, looking at my old projects now, it's hilarious. It's very funny. Like, why would this exist? Why would this be on there? But it is, you know. I don't know what I got. This was like a couple years ago. That's crazy. So you'll probably do something along those lines, like a cup, or I don't know. Advanced final. What is this one? So obviously everything I'm showing you is something I did during school. This is specifically during class. I did this gun, apparently. I And this is one of the nicer looking pieces. I didn't go crazy on the... Or maybe I did go crazy. No, this is just low quality. Yeah, I didn't go crazy on the damage this time. I kind of kept it clean. It even has like barrels inside and whatnot, so... Oh, it has the whole barrel. And obviously this is just me trying to like do some fancy patterns. This isn't sculpted. This is all textured on. You'll learn how to do all the textures and everything. Okay, I was expecting a seam right here, but there's no seam, so I'm at least proud of that. Is there one here? I don't see it. Where is it? That's one thing I like looking for, is the texture seam. I think it's this one because the grain suddenly goes sideways. But it's pretty cool. And then in here you can... No, not that. Oh, here. You can look at the layers so I can inspect... Actually, here. UV checker. Yeah, you can inspect the UVs. Everything's squared off. Everything looks even between all pieces. So it looks good. And they'll teach you this. You'll learn this. This is stuff that, you know, a YouTuber... This is one thing, because I also learned from YouTube before going to Full Sail. But this is one thing that a lot of YouTubers don't really like go in depth, but a lot of teachers will. And oh, yeah, I did go crazy with the damage. I knew I did. I knew I must have. But they'll show you how you need to lay out your UVs, what is good and bad when it comes to UVs, why you should use a certain layout technique for this piece but not that piece, and if you're creating one piece, why all your UV textures, your UV squares should be the same size. Even if the piece is this tiny, it should match everything else. You shouldn't have giant squares here. It's be easier if you shouldn't have giant squares here and then tiny little squares here, because then this means this piece right here is taking out your entire UV space. So they'll teach you all of that. And it's pretty good. Base color. This is without lighting. But they'll teach you everything you need to know, and it's amazing. Metalness. Metalness is one thing that I learned is it's either yes or it's no. I got in trouble so many times when I would grayscale my metal, because even though it looks nice, my teachers would always be like, it either is metal or it's not metal. You can't be in between. And I was like, all right, it might. So sometimes your metal might look gray, but that's because, like, let's say you have paint wearing out, right? So you have splashes of right here, you have splashes of paint and splashes of metal, and the paint and the metal, because it's black and white, it'll look gray, but when you like zoom into the pixel, it's either white or it's black. So that's one way. And the paint can be gray. The paint can obviously be gray because it's not metal. Well, actually, no. Obviously, the paint can be gray because it's paint. The paint metalness will not be gray. The paint metalness will be black. But the paint itself can have different roughnesses and different colors separate from the metal that will make the metal map look gray, but it's not gray. I don't know. I'm trying to explain myself too much for something that's more complicated, but it's just something that I found funny. Anyways. But this is if you're going into Full Sail, these are things you can create in class. Like, I'm pretty sure I put, Full Sail. Like, I did this in Full Sail. I turned this in for my Full Sail project. Back then, I did not know how to get rid of these streaks, so I just turned it in with these streaks of light. But now I know how to get rid of all of that, so I wouldn't do that again. Here are different maps: emissive map, roughness, metal, normal, base color, and then the dirty map, emissive. They're not the same. You can see that. Well, the emissive's the same. Emissive's actually the same because it's just the light. But the roughness is not the same because now you have a bunch of dirt and extra material on top, where this one doesn't. So this one would be a lot smoother. And then metal, like I said, like this looks gray, but that's because you have dirt that isn't metallic on top of metal. So now you have that black and white on top of each other. Normal isn't the same, because my dirt has like the slightest bump. So this is smoother and this is bumpier. And obviously it has brown because dirt. And then you can go in here and click load 3D model. And this was done for a class. So you can do something like this. I'm a fan of Destiny, and I wanted to do a Gorgon as a ghost. This was back when Destiny 2 just came out, like 4 years ago. So the current Gorgon looking ghost, what didn't exist. I like to think that I inspired it, but I probably didn't. But anyways, I did mess up on this one. So this looks really clean, really nice, but it has a little error there. And because these 3 pieces share the exact same UV space, the error is on all of them. It multiplies. And then I have the cracked screen on here when it shouldn't be on there. So that's also my fault. But I did this during class, during one of my classes. And then obviously this is the dirty one. And there you go. Now, don't let this, how do I say this? Don't let this overwhelm you, because I chose to do something difficult doesn't mean you need to choose something difficult, if that makes sense. So the teachers, from my experience, they'll have beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and I specifically always chose the more advanced options because I knew 3D going into Full Sail, because I did engineering in high school, so I learned a lot of CAD. I went to a mentorship for engineering that was also a lot of CAD, and then I did some engineering for college, and then I went to Full Sail, and I basically had to take Autodesk, Fusion 360, and Google SketchUp and apply what I learned there into Maya, which wasn't too difficult for me because I kind of already knew what all these buttons and all these phrases were supposed to be. So I kind of just, went in there knowing kind of what I was doing to a certain extent. So that's why I was comfortable picking the more advanced options. Now, if you aren't comfortable with that and you think like, oh man, I'm just beginning, I'm just getting started, I don't want to go full dive into it, then pick the more simpler options. Pick the most simple objects so you can learn. But the thing is, learn from those objects. Don't pick a box, don't pick a cardboard box, because you're not gonna learn anything. Pick like a camera or a phone, or even a lamp, like not a modern lamp, because a lot of modern lamps tend to just be boxes, like I said, but an older lamp with all those curves in it, like all like wooden lamps that have a bunch of like little indents and curves and different shapes to it, like something that can be simple, and learn from that. And then when you're comfortable enough to be like, all right, I'm ready for the advanced stuff, and dive into the advanced, or obviously probably go into intermediate and then advanced, and then there you go. Another class I did was this one. So this one, I got a little lecture on this one as well, because I'm always learning. I'm always getting lectures from the teachers, and I'm like, what did I do wrong? And they're like, this is what you did wrong. And I'm like, that makes sense. That actually makes sense. But so this is do I have a broken ruins, and okay, so this is something I didn't do but I should have done. I got this off of like a inspired image. So this is a concept someone else did, and it inspired me to do this in 3D. I should have put the other picture here so I could have shown you, but this is basically what I did. And I'll show you what got me in a world of pain. Not really, but this is a little lecture that I got. So my ground looks very broken up, obviously, and it looks very shiny. I should have probably dulled it up a little. Obviously, I know more now than I did then. Wow, this is cool. Sorry. I did that was an instinct reaction because I honestly think I lost a little bit of my edge leaving Full Sail because I stopped working on my projects as much. I don't work on 3D too often anymore. But this, which one do I want to show? I want to show normal map. This is what I got in trouble for, because the ground was sculpted with all this detail, and the teacher literally told me, like, why are you sculpting that in? And I was like, oh, because I want to, well, actually maybe not all of it, but I know some of it. I think this road right here is texture. So there's texture and there's sculpting. They both affect the normal map, but I think this harsher one was the texture, and these softer areas was me in what's the word? ZBrush. Why did I forget ZBrush? Anyways, me sculpting a bunch of stuff in, and the teacher was like, you can just create maps with these items in it. So these right here, like, they're part of a texture map that already includes bump. So now what he told me is you're adding bump on top of bump, and it's like you shouldn't be doing that. You should just simplify everything. And I might have. Now that I think about it, no, I didn't, because I definitely baked this on there. But wireframe. This is my bad wireframe. This is not good wireframe. It also doesn't look as good because this program automatically does triangles. So obviously I would not do triangles for my wireframe, but I think the program automatically does triangles. And if it doesn't, then I might have exported it with triangles, because Maya has a triangulate option that I didn't know of until later. Oh, let me go back. But yeah, so did my texture differently. Sci-fi environment. I think you got to choose between sci-fi and Western, I think, and I chose sci-fi. Obviously, I chose sci-fi. But this is just a hallway corridor. Got a little pillar. Everything's modular, so you could create an infinite algorithm of rooms with all these assets. So everything's 100% modular, and this is what I made. And you might or might not be like me. Looking back at my art now, I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I do this? Why am I doing that? Like, if I were to redo this today, I would definitely do it a different way. But I'm not gonna redo it, and I think this is good enough to pass my class. Obviously, I passed, or else I wouldn't be here talking about it. And this is my process. Unreal Engine 4 from Maya, and Substance Designer. This might have been one that I used only Substance Designer in decals, because I have decals and obviously particles, so these little specks of quote-unquote dust are my particles. But I think this is fully done in Substance Designer. Nothing is done in Substance Painter, and everything is textured on here. And the reason why is because you'll take this UV space and you'll just stretch it out, because UV tiles. So you'll just tile it out through the entire object, and then you can edit the size to specifically choose what size, I guess these are hexagons, or what size squares you want, and you'll just scale that out, and you don't have to actually draw each individual piece in. You'll just do like a 4x4 and then scale it. Or like right here, you'll do like a little patch and then scale it. So it's pretty cool. You'll learn all of that if you go. Let's see what else I did. Now, what I didn't do is this Zim and this B2 model. Those were done separately outside of Full Sail. This is also different. This is the work in progress. So outdoor, I think this is my final environment scene. So I did like a little town, and you can scroll through, and all of these you can pan around. It's a little town, little bridge and everything. I made these bows, and I just set up the environment I wanted to set up, barrels and whatnot. But I think this was one of the ones I'm not 100% like, wow. One of the ones that I like is my underground train. And I think this is my second to last portfolio. And this is a little video. That I did in Unreal. So I animated it. I did the camera flying by and everything, all in Unreal. I recorded it and exported it out. And let me just scroll all the way down. Yeah, see, this time I added the reference. So this is my reference. And then I took that and I did a block out. So each video is the same thing. It's just my different stages. So this is just, well, this is not a block out, but this is me without textures, kind of putting everything in place. Then with like a base coat of textures. And as you'll see, this changes. So you see all these little rivets and buttons and screws and whatnot and little tiles. That goes away. It's gone. That's because the teacher was like, why do you need that? Like, you don't actually need that in your model. You don't have to like model that in, because for games it's too much. And that's when I started like, oh yeah, that can't be too much. These are different angles from the exact same train scene, just different angles. And then my final angle, which is actually my background, because it's the one I'm like most proud of. It's the one that I learned a lot from too. But again, like, I went from like literally I went from this knife or even this cup, this little basic cup here that I'm 100% sure I struggled with. Because look at that, like, seam right there. Not seam, but like artifact. Even there, that's an artifact. These are right there. Even the top, like, look, I went from this to this. So I'm pretty proud of that. So that's kind of what you're expected to understand when you go into Full Sail, is that you're probably going to go from this or worse. No offense or anything. Like, we don't all start at the same spot, but you'll probably go from something that at the time you might be like, this is sick, this is cool. And then when you get to the end and you have this, that some of you might not even think this is cool. Some of you might think like, oh, that's ugly. It might be to some people, but for me, I like it. I think from here to here, I definitely learned. I definitely learned. But that was my process through Full Sail. It's, again, kind of summer it up. Make sure you pick the program you want to go into. I know when I was going into the program, I told them I wanted to do game dev. And they're like, oh, you want to do game dev? Okay, what about games do you want to do? And I told them like, oh, I want to do environments. I want to do characters. I want to like put in trees and whatnot, like make props. And they're like, okay, that's not game dev, that's game art. And I felt dumb, but I was like, what? You sure? And they're like, yeah, I guarantee that's game art. And I was like, okay, you're the professional, I'll trust you. Then I went into game art and I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. So, you know, if they tell you you probably want to go into something else, it's probably because they know like, oh yeah, you probably want to go into this other program instead. So I'm kind of happy that I did switch from game dev to game art. And I learned all of this. And this can be heavy. It can be tiring. So I think one thing to pay attention in this class, this one right here, this class might be the most important class you have. Pay attention to it. This was what got me through school. Psychology of play. Being able to take the time out of your busy schedule to relax and have fun. And being able to understand that just because you play a game and take some time off and relax and maybe go to the mall or do some stuff does not necessarily mean you're procrastinating. Procrastination might be something completely different, like you literally not doing your work for the entire week until the last hour of, you know, before it's due. That's procrastination. But you having a busy day on Monday, busy day on Tuesday, and then being like, all right, you know what, Wednesday I have off from school, and I'm gonna work in the morning, and then for the rest of the day, I'm gonna go play a game. Go play Minecraft, go play outside, go play soccer with someone, go to the basketball court, the gym, go to a coffee place. Like, you have to understand that that is something we need. And that's something that also got me going. Like, I was like, all right, you're right. Let me put my phone away. Put my phone, for me, when I was going through Full Sail, my rules when working at home, because at school, I just never used my phone. At school, I was always working, or sometimes I'd pull up my phone and send a quick couple messages and then go back to always working. And I'd take a couple breaks here and there. But at home, I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna work from this time to this time, maybe like, let's say 2-3 hours, right? I'm gonna work through that time. During that time, I'm gonna put my phone on silent, no vibration, no flash, because I know some people put their phone upside down and then their flashlight starts going off, and it's like, why'd you put it? Just keep it right side up. In that case, it's gonna flash you in the face either way. So no flash, no nothing, completely dead silent. Maybe even turn it off. On the computer, no Discord, no Instagram, no Facebook, no nothing. And just work. Just music, work. 3 hours are done. All right, pull up my phone, reply to all my messages, look at Instagram. I don't really use my Instagram that often. Discord, I probably used Discord back then. Yeah, Discord or whatever other, I don't use Facebook. So if you use Facebook or Twitter or whatever you might use, go and reply and look at everything. And then go back. Either go back to work, like if you're like, okay, that was my 30 minutes to an hour of break. Now I'm going to work again for another 2 hours or something, then go back to that. Or if you're done working, then go play a game, go make some food, go hang out with friends, go do something, and just have fun. And I would say the best thing to do, really, is manage your time well. And obviously that sounds, like dumb. Like, oh yeah, like I'm obviously gonna manage my time. But when you actually manage or actually not turn in your work at 11:59 p.m. Okay, but in all seriousness, actually managing your time in the sense of goals instead of strict time. Like, sometimes I would tell myself, all right, I'm going to finish this by Wednesday. And if I finish it at Wednesday 11:59, then I finished it by Wednesday 11:59, but it's not due till Friday. But I finished it Wednesday. That was my goal, to finish it Wednesday. So even if I procrastinated on my own goal, I still finished it earlier than expected. Now, what are some benefits of finishing it earlier? Now, here are some benefits. Full sail is can be very heavy at times. So finishing work early allows you to relax. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're chugging through it, and then Friday to Sunday, you're more relaxed, more chilled out, and not stressing out about it's due. So finishing it early is very good, especially for your art classes, because you want the teacher to tell you things like this. You want the teacher to go through and tell you you don't need all these nuts and bolts, instead of doing it at the last minute and then just having the nuts and bolts in there for your final project, which is I clicked the middle mouse, which is this one, where you're completely done, and then him coming in and being like, all right, remove the nuts and bolts. And you might have spent another 10 hours texturing and placing and changing and creating high maps and low maps and whatnot, and making sure the metallic works and all that. Or do you want like rusted bolts or not rusted? Are you gonna put decals on each section of bolts? And you spent, because if they're just bolts, Caesar, you're gonna spend like 30. No, you're not. Anything you think you're gonna spend 30 minutes to an hour on, you're probably gonna spend 5 hours on. So, because when you go into it, okay, I modeled this bolt out. Then there's a screw in that bolt, and then this bolt has a little plate in that plate, and then it's mirrored over to this side, and then I have a pattern of bolts here that are smaller, that are a different style, and then those are mirrored over, and I have to place them on this curved track in Maya, which is not too hard, honestly, to be honest. And these little things right here, and then I have to texture the bolt, the screw, the plates, these different bolts, this plate, and then do I want to add decals on here for the bolts and the plates, and make some rusty, make some not rusty, and so you start going into this spiral of what to do, and then the teacher tells you that you spent 10 hours doing something that you shouldn't have. So that's 10 hours, or let's say 5 to 10 hours you could have saved not doing all that. Him telling you at your blockout state, yeah, get rid of those bolts, and you're like, okay, get rid of the bolts, and then boom, you can start working on these decals, on this rust, on dirt, on these lights being different colors, because some are new, some are old, some are broken. These bars, some are popped out because they're old or they're new, but they weren't installed right. These things have grime on top of them. Ignore the perfectly smooth front side. But you can start these little tar lines that go through the top. I'm pretty sure there's some, these like little lines that are going everywhere. You can spend time adding those, creating these little specks that float around. Like you can spend more time polishing out your work instead of finishing these bolts. So finishing your work earlier, like early on, allows you to ask questions, to show work. I remember for this one, my dirt at some areas were gray because I made them transparent and they looked gray. Like this is brown. This is like, if I zoom in here, all of these are brown. Like all the dirt is 100% just like a brown color. Brown. But I had some areas where it was gray colored. Like this is obviously white on brown, so it looks kind of gray. But this, I'm telling you, it was like harsher gray, like metallic gray, like gray. And it was the dirt. And this is when I was doing like barely adding it to this model, so it was more apparent, it was more like obvious it was gray because this is very shiny white. So the teacher was like, dirt isn't gray. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, you're adding transparency to your dirt. Just create like a specular brush, or make like a little speckled brush and do 100% transparent instead of like 40 or 50, and just get rid of the dirt in that area instead of making it gray. And I did it, and I was like, oh, it does look better. It does look a lot better. You were right. So it allows you opportunity to learn when you finish your work quicker, because then the teachers have more opportunity to teach you, because they can see your work and be like, yeah, you need to work on this part, you need to work on that part, and then you work on it. And I think my favorite part of being in Full Sail and showing the teacher the project is them being proud, like them genuinely being excited that you listened to them and improved your work, because it is the best feeling, because these teachers are professionals. And when I look at when there was other students who wouldn't do that, and you would see the genuine disappointment on the teacher, like they'd be pretty sad that they were like, why didn't you do this that I told you should have done? And the student's reply usually wasn't that good. Like it would be something they just throw out there, like, oh, because this. And it's like, well, it is your choice to not work if you don't want to work. It is your choice to not improve if you don't want to improve. The thing about Full Sail in the art program is that it's different from, like, let's say the dev program. I don't know the dev program at all, but I'm just speculating here. Let's say the dev program is very mathematical and code based, so you have to know and be able to use those codes professionally, like good. But art is very subjective. Like I said, like this might look good to me, but it might look bad to you. So like this Zim that I made, or this Gur, or the Gur in the sky, it's like, I think they look pretty cool, but someone else might look at it and be like, nah, that looks so bad, off model, go on a tangent. But that's okay, because it's your right to think it's bad, and it's my right to think it's decent, or other people's rights to think it's amazing, or whatever. Like there's a giant, you go all over the place with art. So very, very often I would find classmates that would do literally the bare minimum that is asked for to pass. And while the teacher will still pass them, and they might not get the best grade, but they still pass, 70 is still passing for a bachelor. I think 65 is still passing for a bachelor's, but I don't know. I think 70 is the passing rate. So as long as you get above 70, you pass. And there would be some students that would pass on almost just 70s or very low 80s. Even me sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, I did get like 85 here and there, but I think most of my grades were in the A's or in the B pluses. But I think that's also due to the fact that I like really tried to go all in. I was like, if I'm spending all this much money to learn 3D, you better bet I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to shove my art in the teacher's face and be like, hey, does this look good? What can I do better? What do you think? Like, and this is one thing that like I said, I learned a lot doing this one, because there's a lot of techniques that I did not know. Like this concrete wall is just one texture. The entire concrete wall is one texture, because the teacher taught me how to do that. These are not painted in Substance Painter or anything. This is actually painted in Unreal Engine, with vert painting, and I didn't know what that was. Decals, I've never used decals until now, but I got all this detail down. Even these wires are decals. I got all that down. And then he'll ask me questions. He'll be like, when you look at the tunnel, like down here, you can see that this light's really bright, and then this one might be a little yellowish. And he'll be like, because maybe one's really old, kind of like headlights. Like if you look at like this is yellow, and then this is white, And it's like one might be a new headlight, one might not be. So like add that breakup in there. Maybe these lights got replaced, and this one's broken, and that one's broken, but the others are old, and these are new. Like, like he'll start questioning me on my art choices, and even these bars. He'll be like, "Do you think these bars were put in by machines or by people?" And I was like, probably by people. And it's like, all right, well, people aren't perfect, so space them out differently. Just even if it's a little bit, break one because it wasn't installed right. Like, and I'm like, that makes sense. That makes sense. Even these little breaks that I pulled out because I was like, this looks so smooth. And maybe the vibrations from the train popped some loose, or they started breaking, or they just weren't installed right. Or even these tiles aren't perfectly, squared out. Like they're a little to the side, just like a little bit. Not that much. They're not like yanked over, but you start questioning, or they start questioning you, then you start questioning yourself, and you're like, that makes sense. And you start improving on your art, because when you do the basic stuff, it's all fundamentals. But the teachers 100% realize this man has his fundamentals down. How do I improve his artwork now? Now it's no longer about fundamentals. Now it's about going above and beyond and making a masterpiece. To say, I'm not calling this a masterpiece, but I'm saying you can get to that point if you really try. So, keep an eye out if you do want to go to Full Sail. Ask questions to anyone, the teachers, the students, whoever you want. Ask a question to. When you call them on the phone and be like, hey, I'm thinking about going to Full Sail, but I'm not 100% sure, but I kind of want to go. What should I do? They will tell you what to do. They'll be like, all right, we got monthly or weekly walkarounds, tours of the school. Why don't you start there? All right, let's go. Go to a tour. Maybe you can't fly. All right, we have these virtual things we can show you, or, here, let me help you navigate the website so I can show you everything. Or let me just talk about what you're going to be learning and see if it interests you. Like, ask questions so and you can get in there. And then in your free time, make a Zim. Make a Gur in your free time. Make a Gur in his green dog suit, just because you can now. Just because you can. And I would say, like, I have this B2 model, and I'm not 100% happy with her head. I think her head is something. I didn't go for character. Let me put that out there. I went for environment art. There's animation, environment, prop, and character. Mine was environment art. So I worked a lot with environments. Obviously the train scene and the other outdoor scene. But you'll learn how to do the characters. Like you saw the bust that I did of the bald man. The cup and gun, you'll learn props. You'll do like different little environments to learn environments. You'll do animations to learn different animations. Here, let me show you. I'm sure he won't mind. Following. I'm sure he won't mind. Michael. This was, I would say this is one of my best friends at Full Sail. Sadly, I'm not really in touch with him anymore. I should be 100%, but he was one of my best friends at Full Sail. But he did little props here and there. I think this is new. I have not seen this one before. 3 years ago, it is not new. But I see him more for his animations portfolio. So we were in the exact same class, and he did this. I don't know if he did this in class. He probably did this. I'm pretty sure he did this on his free time, probably. I know where did I go to my profile? I know he did this one, maybe. Or he might have taken it down. There was one that he did with a monkey, but I think he took it down. But we went to the exact same classes, but he focused on animation. Dang, he just snapped his neck. But he focused on animation. A little three hit combo. So he did this. And I did environments. So I did the train scene. And Justin was also, I would say, he was one of my closest friends in Fulsa. He did props, and his props look amazing. Like, look at this helmet. Same class, but he focused on doing props. And I know he struggled through this one, because he was next to me when he was making it. But like, look, the end, the teacher was always by his side, giving him advice, giving him tips, like, or we'll try doing it this way, try doing it that way, the entire time till he resulted in this. And I think it looks amazing, honestly. But that's what it is. Like, the teachers are there to help you. I remember I'm pretty sure it was Michael, was always next to him while he was doing his work. This might have been his final project. But there you go. Like, he did everything here you see. Like, does he have? Yeah. Is that? Whenever I see that, I think of Anonymous. Or the, because don't they use that face? I don't know. I might be wrong. But it looks good. And obviously he did props. And Lee was also one of my closer friends at Fulsa. Lee did characters. I'm not 100% sure. Here it is. Here he is. And there you go. He does a lot of sculpting. He has a lot of character work. I know he did this one in class. This is the one I saw him make. Same classroom. Exact same classroom. Exact same teacher. But you're doing what you want. Instead of... This is later. This is later on. This is like portfolio 6, 7, 8. Like towards the end of school. Once you've mastered all the basics and you've gone through everything, then you start going into these. And it's good. And you'll see different... I remember she was in an earlier class, and I met her and she was showing me... Oh, she doesn't have it on here. But she was showing me this... it wasn't this one. This floating like little island with water and everything. And because I was also doing environments, but I was in the later class, I was like throwing a little few tips out. Just... that might have helped her, or like questions she should ask the teacher. Be like, oh, ask the teacher if you could use the Unreal water system so you don't have to texture the water. I'm pretty sure that's one of the things I asked her to ask the teacher. Be like, because you don't know, like you might just be able to use the Unreal Engine water because everyone can use it, so it's basically free. Instead of having to try to fake it or create your own and have it look like ice instead of water, or like a painted rock. I'm not saying that's what it looked like. I'm just saying, like, you could get different results when you shouldn't need to have those results. So, you know, it'll break up into different areas. So you can you'll learn all the basics together, and then once you get later on, you'll specialize in prop or animation or character or environment. And you get to kind of pick and choose. Usually they'll stray away from stylized. So here's the rule, at least from when I was there. The rule was, if you are not extremely good at stylized art and texturing, you are not allowed to do it, and you have to do photorealistic textures or photorealistic everything. So that's one thing you have to know. If you're going into there to do something stylized, they're very picky about it. They want people to kind of go into the industry thinking AAA gaming, Battlefield, Call of Duty, whatever other game that might come out that uses realism instead of a specific one stylized art that only one company might use. They teach you realism that any and every company could use. So they prepare you to like kind of go in there ready to help out a company if they need it. But if you do want to do stylized, then they make you take a test. And you have to do it in your free time. You can't do it. And I'm not going to tell you what the test is because if I do, you might do it and then go into full cell with it done and think you can get away with it. So I'm not going to say anything. But there's something that you have to do to be able to prove that you can really, really nail down stylized art. And then they'll give you leniency and freedom to do a lot of stylized work. I think I only had one person actually do it and go through and finish it with stylized. But besides that, everything else was realism. Everyone else did realism. So that's one thing you kind of have to think about. And obviously, I'm talking about art, like the physical 3D model. Animation can be as exaggerated and stylized as you want because it's animation. That has its own different set of properties that you want. Squash and stretch and anticipation and all that stuff. You know, timing and exaggeration is one of my favorite things about animation. But, you know, so that'll be something different. But, you know, go to Full Sail to learn, make friends, make connections, and leave Full Sail being able to create whatever you want because you can now. A lot of things that are taught at Full Sail, I think, will go to the typical, oh, but you can learn this in YouTube and look it up on Google and whatnot, and someone has a class out there for free that can teach. Yeah, like go to Blender and learn 3D if you want. That is 100% okay. There is nothing wrong with teaching yourself. But to Full Sail's credibility, I will say they teach you the way, in a way, to build you up. They don't throw you in to make a donut on Blender with sprinkles and realistic texturing and all. No, they'll teach you how to make a square. Starting off, they'll be like, make this box, because if you can't make this box, we can't go forward. And they'll build that up. All right, now this box is no longer a box. Now is a toaster. Now make this toaster. If you can't make this toaster, we can't move forward. All right, you go in there and you work on making that toaster. All right. Now make this refrigerator that opens and it has compartments. Oh, okay, we'll do that. All right, now make this gun and this knife, and you know they'll build you up. They'll start soft, they'll start slow, and they'll make sure you know what you're doing. That's why you have the class and the grading system, to make sure you know what you're doing before you move on to the next one. Because all of a sudden now you're sculpting. And you're like, what am I doing? And then all of a sudden now you're animating. You're like, what? And then all of a sudden now you're sculpting anatomy and not even knowing what you're doing half the time. But the teacher's there to guide you and teach you and make sure you understand what you're doing. You can go into a YouTube video and they'll be like, all right, make this square. Like here, like let me just pull this out, because they'll be like, all right, make this square and I'll extrude it and then scale this out, and then we're going to cut here and then extrude that, and then we're going to separate here and add that, and then bring in this sphere and connect it here and merge all these edges, and then we're going to extrude it here and extrude it that way, and then we're going to make an inward cut here and scale it inwards and then extrude it out, and then we're going to go in and select all these edges and add the bevel. That's like 90% of all the YouTube things that I watch are them telling you step by step how to do something. And you could learn from that. But the difference is that in Full Sail, they'll kind of just be like, make this. And they won't tell you how to make it some of the times. They'll just be like, make it. And then they'll look at you to see what your thought process is on making something. And then they'll stop you and be like, okay, you messed up here, here, and here. And this is why. This is why your thought process was flawed. And here's how you fix it so you don't think that way anymore. Does that make sense? So next time you work on this model or another model, you're not using that same thought process to make the same mistakes. And that's one thing that I thought was pretty cool. Again, you might not get the same experience I did because I really tried to finish my work and get the teachers to like come over and, you know, critique my work, and even other students. Michael and Justin would always sit next to me and we would always be critiquing each other all the time. All the time we would be critiquing can't speak English anymore. Critiquing each other in animation, environment, prop. And what was funny is as we got later through it, we knew Michael was the animator. So we would ask Michael, hey, Michael, does this animation look right? And he'll tell us, no, it looks like trash. And then he'll point out why it looks bad. And we'll be like, thank you, sir. And I'd go in there and fix it. Or if we were doing a prop, be like, hey, Justin, does this look right? And then he'd be like, no, it looks like trash. Because they're my friends. They're obviously going to tell me it looks bad and tell me why it looks right. But if you ask any student, they'll be like, you know, it looks good, but you could do this, this, and that. So it all depends. These were some prop pieces that I made for a game that I'm not going to go into right now. Oh, and this is a boss I made. But anyways, so like that, like we would go into class knowing if I want to know more about characters, I'm going to go ask Lee because he's the one studying that specific path. If I want to do more animation stuff, I'm going to go ask Michael because I know he would do that specific path. And sometimes Michael would ask me about animation and I would be like, yeah, that looks really good. But, you know, this specific point in your animation could be better. And then you're like, okay, but how could it be better? And I remember specifically one time, this is very specific for the animation he was working on. He was trying to work on this flying character that was moving sideways, side to side, and he was making him fly. And I told him, it doesn't really look like he's flying. It looks like he's hovering. He's like, no, he's moving to the side. I'm like, well, I think you should make him like lean into it more. Like whenever I think flying, I think like superheroes like Superman or the Green Lantern. Batman doesn't fly. But basically, whenever I think of flying, I think, you know, the stereotypical pose, one arm out, you know, into the wind. So I told him, like, maybe you should lean him into it a little bit more. And I think he was hesitant about it, so he didn't want to do it. So he got a second opinion, which is perfectly fine. I was not offended. I was not mad. I was happy he asked the teacher for more assistance. I don't think he asked the teacher. I think he asked the lab assistant for more assistance. And he came over and he was like, maybe you should make him lean a little bit more. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was in the general, I didn't say I told you so. No, I was like in my head alone because I am not going to try to upset the environment or anything. But in my head alone, I was like, oh, so I was in the ballpark. You know, I had some good critique. And then that's what he did. He made them lean into it a little bit more. And then when he imported it into Unreal and moved his character around, it looked pretty cool. He doesn't have it in his portfolio. I looked, so I can't really show you. But I was, like I said, like, you can make friends and don't isolate yourself and have them critique you. And I think that's it. How long is it? An hour and a half. Hey, if you made it this far, or if you even no one's watching this. Ain't nobody want to know my long hour and a half rant. I'm pretty sure we got like my mom out here. She's the only one who made it this far. But for real, if there's actually anyone out there who listened to this and looked at it, I'm gonna post this on my YouTube channel, and if the video's still there, which it might or might not be, I think my process for making Gur is in there, though I took a little liberties because I was making it for rendering purposes only. So if you watch that video, just keep that in mind. Rendering purposes only. I was not making it for a game or animation. But a lot of the steps that I did were similar steps that I would go into for making games and animation models and all that. But if you did make it this far and you're considering going to Full Sail, just make sure you talk to them. Make sure you get the information you want. Every degree is different, so hopefully if you did make it this far, you're looking into going into either game art or computer animation or something. But every program that they have is different, so look at other people's experiences, if that's what we call it, and see if it's the right fit for you. If you can afford it or live in the area, because there is no dorms there, so you have to find your own apartments to live in. They partner with people so you can have roommates and all that. So think about the income. Can you afford the school and living expenses? Do you need to take out loans? Are you willing to take out loans? Are you willing to stay there the entirety of the school year, like for months and months on end, with just a couple week breaks here and there? You have to think about all that. I know I didn't go into my game dev masters, because the game dev masters it's a lot more. It's a lot more to unpack. It's not bad, but this is more for people who want to get into Full Sail and want to get started. Is it the right thing for you? A lot of my friends that are into animation or any type of program that might be related to something Full Sail will offer, I would always recommend Full Sail. I will always recommend Full Sail. But I would also tell them the same thing, like, you could go to Full Sail, but it can be costly. You have to fly to Orlando if you're doing the on-campus. If you do online, obviously you don't have to fly to Orlando. But it can be costly. It's a lot of time. You're taking a bunch of classes at once. You can go into the extended program, maybe, if you qualify for the extended program, and just take one class a month, but now you're spending more time there. And it's just like, you have to really think about, is this what I want to do? And is this what I'm going to? Now, post Full Sail, after I graduated Full Sail, I am one of the ones who did not get a job. I did not get a job at Bungie working on Destiny or Call of Duty. Now, does this mean you won't get a job? Not necessarily. Your talent for connecting and working with people could far surpass mine, and you can land a job during school even, or right out of college. Or it might take you a couple months. And I know Full Sail has a lot of programs in place to help you get a job. I'm gonna be honest, just so I don't ruin the reputation of Full Sail. I have not used those yet. I've used them like twice or three times, and they have helped me. I have an amazing resume. Amazing resume. I think it looks good and professional, and it has just what it needs. Not oversharing, not undersharing. So they helped me do that, and I've got no complaints. But I could spend a bit more time going to their or talking to their advisors and their job. They have a career opportunity. I forget what it's called. The career opportunity office or whatever. Like people who specifically are only there to help you get a job. And they'll look over your resume, your cover letter. They'll do mock internships, everything. They'll even look for leads for you so that you can apply. And I'm probably going to start like bugging them a lot more than I have, because I've done so much in 3D just for myself that I'm like, you know what? I went to school for it. Might as well actually get a job in the field. Now, I did graduate from my master's degree in 2022, last year, yeah. In summer. I actually graduated from my bachelor's, took like a year and a half break, and that year and a half was through COVID, because I graduated months before COVID started. Not a year, it was less than a year, but months before it started. Then it started and everything hit, and chaos went over the entire location and whatnot. And then once it started dying down, I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna go. Everyone's stressing me out. Everything's going into. I'm gonna go back to school. That was literally my thought process. I was like, I'm gonna go back to school because I'm not. Jobs weren't hiring. Everyone was closing. Everyone was at home. I was like, I'm gonna go back to school and learn some more if I'm not gonna do anything anyways. So I went back to school, and my first 2 months were at home. I was in Orlando. I live in Texas, but I went back to Orlando, and for my first 2 months were at home, and then I went to school and on campus and everything, and it was a whole other thing. But yeah, since I graduated from my master's, I haven't gotten a job or anything, so I'm probably gonna go bug them about it. Use the resources they have, and just learn more as I go too. How to actually make myself look professional and get hired. And I think that's it. That's my rant. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and hope you guys have a wonderful day, wonderful time. If you do choose to go to Full Sail, shoot me your art station, please. I want to see other people's art that went to Full Sail. I'm sure I could look some up, but I'd rather just come across them randomly because it's kind of fun. So let me know if you did go to Full Sail, how it's going, what you're doing. I think that's it. If I post again, who knows if I will. This YouTube channel is kind of dead in the light. There's a lot of videos that I've posted and taken down just because they're projects I never completed. I'll start a project, post it on YouTube, not completed, take it down. But yeah, I'll say this: subscribe and whatnot. Leave a thumbs up, thumbs down, comment if you made it this far. And hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of your day or night or evening. And for those of you watching this at 3 a.m., I see you. I was there too. Don't do that in school because you can't miss class. You have 1 month of class. You literally can't miss a day. But, you know, take care of yourselves. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.